Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning brief on Thursday, July 9th. All right, so new numbers for the podcast up to 657 as far as total downloads, so pretty happy with that. Truck along between 30 to 50 a day, so that will be nice. And my interview for the New Zealand thing is next week. So that'll be something else that I'll record and send out over social media. So hopefully that'll be fun. For our objectives today, we're going to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Specifically, we're looking at a new acronym that's being thrown out there called SMART stocks. So you'll see the names. It's again an acronym for these 5 names, and then there's plus a 6th one that people are throwing out there for the smarts, if you will. But replacing kind of the FANG stock, because the FANG stocks have all run up, and they're saying this is kind of the next breed, if you will. We'll also look at the IPO process, not just the true IPO process, which you kind of know about, but there's also the special acquisition process, which is what DraftKings went through, and Nicola, just went through, and then there's a new one this morning, ALLAC, that I don't have pulled up, but I actually bought some pre-market. That is another special acquisition IPO, where an acquisition company like Diamond Eagle did with DraftKings is basically buy the company outright and then change the name to the new ticker. So kind of a weird way of doing an IPO, but that seems to be the new thing. There's another one of those on the horizon. Okay, so for the standard flow this morning, we're going to talk long stuff. Then we'll go within 10 minutes of the open. We'll talk about some day trading things, see if we can find something to trade, and we'll close that out about 10 minutes after the open. Then we'll talk about long-term investing stuff and our academic topic of the day at the time. I will take a look at the market around the world, the headlines, those names, which we've talked about a few of them before. Those are Square, Match, Alteryx, and Roku. TTD is Trade Desk, and then Shop is Shopify. And then we will go on into the Q&A. Contingency, Steve at ototnow.com. If you're having any issues, and standard disclaimer, this is a financial education presentation. So if you have any, you must do your own diligence before you take action on anything you see here. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at where we've been in the past year on the TD Ameritrade platform. Again, the channel that we're worried about off to the right is held nicely yesterday, and actually even gained into the close. So pretty strong finish overall yesterday. So it's still holding that uptrend. No real concerns there, and then kind of flattish open, kind of a do nothing Thursday so far. Only the jobs report was out this morning, and that was kind of a nothing non-event for the market. So we shall see. Today could certainly go either way, but holding that channel nicely. All right, let's look at the last 5 days. All right, so pretty much straight up through Monday, and then a little bit sideways in through Tuesday and Wednesday. But there's that move up in the last hour and a half there in trading. So that's pretty strong, and that's what kind of led us into where we are today. But if you kind of back that up, this is really where kind of the highs of the week. So again, could go either way today, if you will. All right, let's look over the calendar. Biggest one I saw out of the headlines this morning was Walgreens Boot Alliance. So again, that's a conglomerate, a strange one, if you will. But they missed earnings pretty bad. And we generally, you think of the corner drugstore is your big 3, right? You have CVS, Rite Aid, which is RAD, and Walgreens Boot Alliance, of which CVS by far the best of breed. But still, you would think a Walgreens would be able to survive in a situation where people don't really want to go to Walmart anymore, or Kroger, or Albertsons, or whatever your local place is. They want to kind of go smaller, get in, get out. So Walgreens, a lot of people thought was going to beat earnings, and it would have benefited from this, but they did not. So that was it out of the earnings front. There was a couple others that we'll get to in the headlines. Okay, let's take a look at where we are pre-market. So here's CNBC.com. You can see we're kind of mixed. Dow's almost trying to fight its way into the green there, so we shall see. All right, let's take a look at Europe. All right, kind of mixed there, and then on into Asia. Chinese market continues to be pretty strong. It's been on quite a streak lately. So and up over another percent there. Back into yesterday's number for the U.S. Again, most of that was towards the end of the day. Nasdaq hitting new highs. So again, doing pretty good overall. The VIX down to 26. So pretty calm in the markets right now. Okay, bonds. No real change there. Over to oil. Still holding above $40. That's nice. On into precious metals. Yeah, gold's been on a tear, so it's not surprising it came in a little bit. But yeah, again, the precious metals, if you want to make a little bit of money, you can buy those going into the election because a lot of other people will. All right, back to the main screen. We'll refresh that and check out the headlines. The jobs number, 1.3 million plus, was the expected jobless claims, and that was about in line with expectations there. So nothing really newsworthy out of that. United Airlines did, they put out, so all the airlines have done so I have a lot of pilot friends, did a voluntary retirement. They put out all these programs to entice people to retire to cut down on their numbers. Obviously, some of the was popular with some of the other airlines. With United, it was not. People are hanging in there, so therefore they're going to end up furloughing the 36,000 employees, which is kind of a big chunk. So if you remember 9/11, the furloughs, those lasted for almost 2 decades before they actually hired everybody back there. All right, there's Walgreens dropping 5%. We talked about that. Yep, Biden's got his Buy America campaign. I looked through it. Nothing particularly exciting, but hey, look who's right there on the front page. Luckin Coffee of CNBC. I did not see this earlier. If you follow along at home, which some of us stare at it, but Luckin obviously had a huge move, and a lot of that was in the last hour of trading yesterday, up to $4.33 a share where it closed. So it's been on a up to 300% in a week. So been on kind of a tear from the bottom there. So we shall see if that continues. But obviously a lot of it negative. Gotcha. I see. Nothing going on good with LK. It does tend to get hated on in the press, but we shall see. But obviously all things China involve risk, and that's why we talked about him yesterday. All right. Don't see anything here. Continue on down. So schools, it's a headline about Moscow, but when you think about here in the US, obviously Trump is pushing for schools to open. CDC said they're going to release guidelines. Whenever a organization like CDC releases guidelines, that's going to be almost a complete incentive for schools not to open. It's kind of like the safety office running the flying operation. There's no reason to go forward. So we shall see. But the Division One, you saw that the Ivy League was the first big Division One conference to cancel all fall sports. So that puts everybody else now in a bind. So I don't know. NFL's got to make a decision here soon. Maybe it's voluntary for the players this year is what the latest thing I saw this morning is what the players union is pushing for. Obviously baseball has made it pretty much voluntary. So I don't know. We are really approaching a decision point on a lot of these things. The colleges have said July 31st is when they're going to make their decision. That I think that's way too late because a lot of them, open and at the end before the end of August. So we shall see. All right. Continue on up. Biggest moves, Alibaba got a major upgrade. Square got an upgrade. No, sorry, Square got a downgrade. It's been on an absolute tear. That's a name we're going to talk about today. Six Flags got an upgrade. Still wouldn't touch it though. Okay, go ahead. Continuing down. Okay, that's good right there. You see the another 1 billion square feet of warehouse space needed. This is where one of the days this week we had talked about the traditional mall and strip malls and things changing in flavor. I do think we will see a lot of this turn into warehouse space because that is needed, probably at a lower rent point than a retail store. But that the capitalist society slash market will fill a void, right? So if the void is there and retailers don't move in, I think it's going to go into warehouse space. We shall see. All right, one more pane down, see what we've got. And yep, the Redskins saying that's going to happen. Be interesting to see what they change and then who follows suit, right? Because there's other teams out there that could be affected, but obviously the Redskins are the ones that are bearing the brunt of it right now. Okay, we can go back to the top on that, check the futures one more time. See if the Dow's made it into the green yet. Darn close. All right, let's go over to Schwab. We'll talk about our smart stocks for the day. Okay, starting with Square. Obviously, a ridiculous kind of run up there. So Square is your payments processor. So when you think of Visa, MasterCard, or we're like yesterday's payment processors, now it's Square and PayPal kind of leading the charge higher. Obviously, they have the integration with websites and things that just make it easy to be able to go. And some of the, like we have a Summer Moon here in Texas, and that's their payment processor for a no kidding brick and mortar store is Square. So they have like a little cash register Square thing and flips over. You've probably seen it. So really taking it to the next level and pretty good leadership there. I have some of it in the book, but I don't have any personally. You really can't buy it here. It's run up way too much. You'd have to wait for an overall market entry to be able to actually come into this. All right, the next one off to the right is Match, which is the online dating service. So when you think of that, was the trend is anyway, is more of the meeting people online, before 2020 started, and now with the COVID thing, keeping everybody home, bars are closed, that sort of thing. Again, I don't really know how these folks make money. I don't know if they charge for their services or not, or if it's all through advertising. Either way, obviously, when you get a lot of eyeballs and a lot of traffic on sites, they can monetize that. It has come in some. It's really not my thing as far as an investment, but it's certainly, I can see the thesis there. All right, the next one is Alteryx, which is a data analytics company, which you can see is back above its mid-February highs there. The best analogy that I read regarding Alteryx and other companies out there is data is the new oil. So when you think back for the past, 5 decades plus, oil has been, what made the world go around. We go to wars over that stuff, even though we don't admit it, I guess. But we have been in the Middle East for a long time. So if you look at it from that perspective, there are lots of companies out there. Alteryx is one of them, to where it's, data management, sifting through the data into decisionable into intel is what we called it in the military. You take in all this stuff, but really, how do you neck that down into something you can make a decision off of? Tableau is another player out there that I've been impressed with. Okay, over to Roku. The theory here is Roku is the best of breed of all the streamers. So if you think Hulu, Roku, all those devices that you plug into your TV or that actually come with your TV now, to be able to pay a few bucks to be able to get some content. I do think that these will continue higher, and the thesis here with COVID-19 is it's affecting your big movie companies from producing. So can't go out and make like an Avengers movie that has like 200 people when you include all the extras in it, but you still can go out and make a 10 to 15 person smaller production, think a rom-com or something like that, that can be able to film on a small location area with maybe 30 or less kind of people. Everybody can get tested, a couple times a week, and you can actually get smaller, $1 to $3 million movies made and sold, and so not going to the box office, but being sold into streaming, to where now they can push these out online. So could longer COVID last, the harder it will be for the big box movie makers to be able to make those sorts of things. So you can see a lot bigger push to the streamers. All right, the next is Trade Desk, TTD. We talked a little bit about this. Again, it's really an online matchmaker, if you will, of advertising for both supply and demand to be able to negotiate all that. So they've made a move. They were US centric for a number of years. They went into China back earlier this year, and then around March or April, they moved into India. So when you think going into those major population centers like that, it's just really wide open. I was still a buyer in the high 300s here. I don't know if I could buy up at 462 or not, but that's one of those. If we would get a market wide pull in or tech stocks face a large sell off, then that's one of those that would be an interesting pickup. It's a long term hold. As far as I know, they are the best player in the space, but they are there. All right, and the last one is Shop. For Shopify, obviously this has really run up. So 600 back in February, and although almost a double from that. Again, Shopify plugs right into your website. So when you think people being forced from home, a lot of people losing their jobs, they're reinventing themselves as entrepreneurs. And I don't care who you are, you need a website to back up your presence, even if you're just a single person consultant out there, and be able to strap these packages right to your website and be able to push your products and services out. They have it pretty much plug and play, ready to go. So pretty impressive company. No way I would touch it up here, but for the most part, across the smart or smarts stocks, I would say that you would definitely hold these if you have them, or look for an entry point down the road if we get, again, a market-wide sell-off. All right, that's it for the long names. I see some comments up here. I was going to process that real quick. Yeah. Well, the ugly people makes me in the chat there, makes me think of the original Facebook idea. So if you watched Social Network, the movie, again, that was the original yay, nay, hot or not kind of beginnings of Facebook, and then it kind of took off from there. Okay, let's go over to our tabs and take a look at things short here. Okay, LCA is at the top of the list. That's Lancadia Holdings. So let me give you the story there. That's my #1 long for the day. And again, I may even be taking this not just for a day trade, but for a long-term hold. So I'm blanking on his name, but he's the owner of the Houston Rockets. He has his own Fertitta, I think is his name. He has his own gambling app. So right now, for all the gambling stuff, it's been DraftKings pretty heavy. We watched that go through from Diamond Eagle all the way up to release into DraftKings, and you saw that it was basically a triple, depending on your entry point there into DraftKings. LCA, same thing. That's going to become a golden nugget, something or other, as far as a ticker symbol, but that's a planned change. It obviously closed at 11. You can bring up the LCA on the left-hand side there, up at 1350 now. Again, I bought some pre-market at around 6 this morning, just to start nibbling. So we'll see where this thing goes. I think it's going to be the exact same story that will run up until it gets the new ticker symbol, and then we'll probably run up some more, and then you'll be faced with should I hold it or sell it or not. But basically, that golden nugget and DraftKings are going to be the only two in the online sports and gambling space, and both of them stand to benefit from sports getting pushed. So it's kind of counterintuitive. If live sports happen, you get less traffic to sites like DraftKings. If live sports don't happen, then you get more traffic to LiveKings, because all those people that aren't going to football games now are sitting home and betting on NASCAR races and things that to support their competitive habits, if you will. Some may say degenerate habits. I'll say competitive because I'll be nice, and plus we're invested in that, so we'll see. All right, Nicola's moving up 8% pre-market. Obviously had a 30+% move up yesterday off of that upgrade from JP Morgan. So that will be on our long watch list. That's more of a continuation as far as the strategy. IRO in the news again. Let's take a look at that. AYRO. Closed at 628, up at 667. So that's about where it was yesterday, and it kind of failed yesterday. So we'll take a pass on IRO. Yeah, we'll keep it in. We'll put it on the list just to check back on it. Not something I'm going to take though. That would be a long. Blink. Let's go BLNK. Up 4% pre-market. Had a pretty strong move up yesterday. Again, a lot of the EV players that we've had are moving up. So we'll take a look at BLNK. Long, I like that as a long-term investment. We'll see if it's got a move in it or not. APDN, Applied Data Sciences. All right, let's see. Jumps on Fast Track's output of COVID-19 test kits. Appears to be a headline there. That's pretty good move. So 8 up to 9, that's over 10%. Trying to find the exact number. There it is, 8%. So that's right in our wheelhouse where we want it. It's got the volume. So that's set up probably the best, and that's a very attractive headline. So APDN, long test kits for my notes. I'll take a look at that. So either that or LCA. I don't know if Luckin can hold it. It ran up so fast yesterday. I don't know if you could take Luckin out of the gate this morning, but again, it doesn't trade pre-market. All right, let's see what else we have up here. JD.com is another Chinese name we haven't talked about a lot. Chinese internet name that is. Okay, let's go to the next tab. Okay, there's our LCA again. Nicola. There's our applied data, IRO. Blink down at the bottom. All right, don't see anything new in there that we haven't talked about yet. Let's look at the decliners. All right, having some tech issues where we won't be able to switch over to our decliners for some reason. All right, well, we'll bail. Try it one more time. There we go. Let's go back to CNBC. We'll go back to Chrome and Google, just pre-market decliners. Yep, go ahead. All right, scroll up. Keep going. Should be a list. There's the top losing stocks off to the right there. All right, so Bed Bath & Beyond, I just saw that. That's selling off pretty hard. It does have the volume, so Bed Bath & Beyond short. Fits right into the wheelhouse what we're looking at, and it's a earnings miss. Next one down there, Unum Therapeutics, UMRX. See if you can pull it up on that screen. I know you guys can't see this, but I can at least pull it up, see if there's a headline. Okay, UMRX is at $2.96, so it's a small price stock. Some of you guys like those. I know for sure because you can get a lot more shares. But it's gapping down to 272. It's not showing any news on that, but we'll just keep an eye on it. Walgreens Boot Alliance, WBA, down 5%. Again, on that earnings miss, that would be a short you could take a look at. A couple other names qualify there, but I don't know them enough to short them. All right, let's look on the left side. Big Five up 90%, really. Blue City Holdings is. Let's check out BLCT again. We're looking at it on a different screen. This would be a long. $23 gapping up to 27. Doesn't have any news associated with it. BLCT. All right. There's our APDN up 14% now. Let's bring up APDN again off to the right here. Okay, 8 up to 9. So that's about the same as what we looked at earlier. Okay, let's set up. We'll go up to our TD Ameritrade screen and get set up. All right, I think the Bed Bath & Beyond short's probably the biggest no-brainer, so we can put that in the middle there. Let's see, that's the one I'm going to take. So BBY short, I don't think we need to put the stop all the way to the high, so maybe that would be what, a 25-cent stop, 75 cents to the downside. That's still a lot. Let's go with a 20-cent stop. So if you can type in BBBY short, 20 cents, and taking it at minute 2 and out at minute 10. You could go with the bigger stop there, just to give yourself a little bit more wiggle room. I wouldn't go less than 20 though, just because it's going to flop a little bit. So, all right, that is what I want. Let's see if anybody else's trades are in. APDN long, so we'll put that on a screen up here. Oh, I like that. Back that chart out a little bit. Perfect. Look how far that's come in. Again, this is the test kit thing. That's set up pretty nice to be able to get a 3-hour move pretty easy. Let's see, did you put a stop in? 10-cent stop. Yeah, you could even do that with a 20-cent stop, I think, because right where you're at 880, that would clear you down to 860. So up to you. Pretty tight on 10 cents. You might get knocked out. So if I was taking this for real money, you know, even if it's a 20-cent stop, it would only even have to retrace to around this neck of the woods up to 950 or 960 or so to get 3 Rs. So I'd probably loosen that up a little bit. All right, and then let's see what. Okay, 20 cents. Yeah, I think that's better. A better trade. We shall see. All right. LCA. If you put that in the left screen. Again, this is the closet IPO SPAC, special acquisition IPO is what they're called. Again, this would be a long. I do think there's buying in this. If there's not a lot of buying, I'm probably going to go and do some buying at around 9 or earlier to hop in on that name for some folks. All right, watching Bed Bath & Beyond start to do its sell-off now. Don't want it to move down too early. Looking at the market's pretty well unchanged. Yeah, the Nasdaq's up over 0.5%, but both the Dow and the S&P are about even. BLCT was a long. All right, we have about 30 seconds there, Burner. I see you're in the room. If you want to throw a trade in there, make sure I didn't miss it. So yeah, if you were taking a paper trade, I would take LCA long out of the gate with this kind of move, give it about a 20-cent stop, and I think you'll be happy. All right, 5 seconds on into the bell. All right. Watching Bed Bath and Beyond kind of falling like a rock. I'm also watching LCA. So if you did take it at the open there, that would have been a 1375. So again, I said 20 cents. So we have to get up to what, 1435 to be a 3-hour trade there. All right, pretty big move down out of Big Bath and Beyond, not in it yet. All right, let's look it over at APDN. You're going to go in at 1 minute, so that's not a bad move for you initially here. Low volume, but all right, APDN, there's your entry point at the 867. So you have down to 847. So again, good thing you didn't put that 10-cent stop there. Oh man, my Bed Bath and Beyond just striped down right out of the gate. So 50-cent move already. All right, unfortunately, APDN busted out, so I guess that's not holding the whole test kit thing. I like the thesis on that. I really do. All right, 13 seconds before the trade in BBY opens. Okay, so 891 is the trade in BBY. All right, I did a 20-cent stop, so I would have it all the way up to, let's see, 891s. That would be 911 would be my upper stop. So I think that'll continue to fall. Does it have another 60 cents from here? That'd be 831. So we shall see. We'll just let it kind of drop. All right, LCA coming in some, touch 14, and then look like there's some profit taking it. 14 zoom in on LCA. So again, that triple top there in minute 1, 2, and 3, that means there's a buyer sitting there. So each time it touched that, it dropped right back down. So it's getting, excuse me, there's a seller there. So it's hitting 14 and dropping back down. All right, on that right screen, let's give up on APDN and pull up Luckin, see how Luckin opened. All right, well, opened at 440. It closed yesterday at 433. It looks like it's starting to trade pre-market. What's that, 15 minutes prior? No, that's a first tick is at 7 a.m. So that's kind of weird. I'll have to look into that and see why it doesn't open at 5 Eastern, or excuse me, 4 Eastern. It opens at 8 Eastern. But maybe they have to earn that over time. We shall see. But obviously there, if you took Luckin with a 10-cent stop or so, you're already out the door with your 3 Rs on a straight move up. Yeah, I think it's got 5 in its sights today. But again, a big fanboy on Luckin, so making a lot of money there. All right, LCA sold off all the way. That gave up that 50 cents that it moved up all the way down. So I will be a buyer of LCA later today. So you may see that show up in your portfolio if you don't have it already. All right, on that left screen, let's go ahead and look at some other names here. NKLA. Again, this would have been a long to see if it continues long. Yeah, if you took a delayed entry on it, got in there minute either 2 or 3, that would be pretty nice. I do think I think there's short-term move up because of the headline and the upgrade yesterday and the momentum in the name. I think long-term, the stock goes back down to like 30s. So I would not be excited to own this long-term. But there's such a craze that it's going to be the next Tesla. I could see it taking off too. All right, so you can see the overall market on the left, still in the green, but a little bit lower from where it opened. Let's take a look at IRO, AYRO. Again, this is a long based here in Austin. Got a floor at 666 basically. So I don't think I could take that long, but it's working so far. BLNK, let's take a look at Blank EV Power Battery Pack Company. All right, got a decent move up, 25 cents or so. So we shall see if that holds. I like the way it's starting so far. Again, that's a long-term name. We looked at APDN on the test kits. We've got BBY short. I'm at an R&a-half there on that trade. So not a bad place to be. We were going to look at UMRX short. Not really setting up too much for a short. It's down 7% though, so I wouldn't touch that there. Look at the market striping down off to the left. Goodness. See if there's I don't see any headlines on CNBC that's coming across on why that would be selling off, but S&P is definitely about ready to go into the red. So that helps the shorts out there. Obviously, that'll slow down the longs. All right, so nothing on UMRX. And then let's look at WBA. That would have been a short off of the earnings miss. So yeah, basically a 90-cent move from the open there. So I can't imagine that Walgreens is going to back up much. So I think that's going to continue. Probably to sell off, even though you're seeing some green there. So if you were to take a delayed trade in Walgreens, I would have no problem with taking it here and setting up a stop at like $39.90, like a 20-cent stop. So we'll leave that up there for a second since I just called that. Market continues to stripe down. That's on the right-hand screen. Let's look at BLCT. Again, this was a long up 17%. So move down over $1 there on that move down and then trying to take it back up. I wouldn't take it just because the market's selling off over there overall. So, all right, Walgreens is actually being a little more stubborn here than I thought it would be. All right, that's it for the names I had to look at. Let me check in the chat, see if I missed any. No, don't see anything there. All right, let's see. We're at 2R for BBBY, almost down to 3R. So we'll just let that continue to fall. Let's go over to the chart screen and take a look at the overall market and what's moving and shaking. Okay, Luckin we know about. Nicola, we know about. Neo up again. Bunch of options are up. There's Blank at around 2.5% up, 10-cent holdings. Tesla again. If you can go to the main page off to the right here, check Tesla's price. Tesla $13.90 a share. Wow, that's all I can say there. All right, let's take a look at the short side. See who's in the red. Delta Airlines, Southwest, Blackstone. Didn't see any news on Blackstone. Callaway Golf, Dominion, they won't exist here soon. They got bought. Workhorse a little bit in the red again. That's another name I've been loading up on lately. Raytheon's been kind of dead since the merger. Again, they merged with United Technologies. That stock has not recovered. I have a bunch of it, and they're just irritating every day to watch it not do anything. Okay, we can go back over to the short screen. All right, BBY is out at 10, so it did hit the 3R mark, so it looks like that will hold from there. Let's transition into the IPO process, and I'll close out for the day. Okay, so your traditional IPO process and how it works. Obviously, if you want to go public, you file. I think it's an S1. We'll probably see that. That's the intent to go public. Just because they file for it doesn't mean they're actually going to go public. So Palantir is the name that we talked about earlier this week, as far as their big data firm, one of the original Silicon Valley unicorns, if you will. They applied for it, and that starts the kind of the process. From there, the investment banks, they agree on a price window, and then they basically do a roadshow. So they go running around the country, whether that's physically or virtually, but they send it out to everybody to try to drum up interest in kind of the how many shares would you want. And the way an IPO works, and the way it works for my company, is first of all, you have to be an accredited investor. So you have to meet those requirements, which we've already talked about. And then once you are, you approach your financial firm about getting shares. So folks that are clients of mine would approach me for shares. And then I, in turn, go to either Schwab or TD Ameritrade for shares and say, okay, my company wants 100,000 shares. Then it goes through a lottery system. So Schwab, we'll just use Schwab as the example. So Schwab will get allocated so many shares, and then out of all of the RIAs that have requested shares from Schwab, they make an equal distribution across the board. So it's kind of common to oversubscribe, to ask for more shares than you want, because you're probably not going to get your full allocation. There's danger in that, because if you do, that has to go somewhere. But basically you ask for it and you either get it or you don't. So that's kind of the process. And then of course, whatever you get them at, there's no guarantee. So you request a number of shares. So if a company is, say, IPOing in the range of 18 to 20, and you say, okay, I want 1,000 shares, you're expecting a bill for $18,000 to $20,000. The investment bank, and it's right there in fine print in front of you, the investment bank, along with leadership, can change that price out of that range. So it can actually go out at $25 a share, and you have no choice over that. You ask for 1,000 shares, so 1,000 shares you get, and then you hand them over $25,000. So a lot of people don't like that from a varsity level of, I don't have exact price control over what I'm getting. IPOs right now are hot. Everything that IPOs is getting snapped up. That's why certainly with LCA, let's bring LCA back up on the left screen again. Just something I'm looking at. It's hanging out about where it opened. Again, it's moved over, about within $1 range, but that's the next one that's coming out under the SPAC, which is the special acquisition method, which is not the traditional method. So let's go down through here. And then once you have the shares, they get put into your account, you get debited, and then you go off to the open market. So we shall see. Let's go back up to the top there. I thought there was some stuff. Make sure. Yep, private company going public. Anytime crisis hits, you're going to have IPOs shut down, because it's just, there's money scarce. So why you wouldn't IPO during that time? But then you turn around after you spring kind of slingshot out of those downturns, that's when you get the big moves up. Okay. Unicorns means they're valued more at over $1 billion, which is kind of crazy, because a lot of times these are very, very small companies. Okay, we can go ahead and scroll up. So yeah, they can reach out into your big buyers out there, your big names in finance can buy up a whole ton of shares. You have an investment bank or more than one that backs it, but you always have a lead investment bank. So if your lead investment bank is JP Morgan and they're taking you public for 50 million shares, JP Morgan can now turn around and sell or allocate 10 million shares over to Goldman. So Goldman's not running the show, but they can participate in it. So there's a lot of what I would call inbreeding as far as the financial institutions on IPOs, and everybody's kind of vested in making it a success. All right, let's take a look at our key takeaways here. Yep, you have to meet all the requirements. Again, sometimes those are profitability requirements, but a lot of times they're not. And that bottom bullet there, yeah, it's kind of it's the big money payday for the founders of the company, for sure. They're still going to have their shares, and they still be maybe majority shareholders but certainly they're getting their payday, but they're also losing control of their firms at that time. So, all right, underwriters are the investment banks. Okay, lawyers, accountants, SEC, all that is involved. S1, you see down there under steps. 4A is the S1 is the filing form. So you see a board of directors under step 6. 8's the actual IPO date. And then, okay, certain investors may be subject to quiet period. So if you participate in an IPO, realize you might be locked in for 3 months or 6 months. Generally, it's 6 months. So you can't sell your shares. And again, that's to get the stability out there to where it goes out onto the open market. Shares start churning, but whatever price those shares are actually worth, which it takes some time to find, settles out, right? So if you think of the Facebook IPO in 2012, IPO'd at like 28, went up into the 40s. It was the must-have, and everybody was buying, and then it cratered back down to about 16 or so. So it takes a while, like a month, for the price to figure out of an IPO of what it's actually worth from there. Okay, that's enough on IPOs. Yep, I say, see a burner. Let's see, going back up to, we can get out of this and go back up to TD Ameritrade. The winning trade of the day was mine on Bed Bath & Beyond in the middle pane there, and it went down to, let's see, the 10-minute point is, closed out right at 3 hours. So held it till minute 10. So pretty easy trade off the missed earnings there. So, all right, that's all I've got for you guys today. Yes, free month for me in the room. I'm so excited. All right, so I'm going to, one last look at LCA. You're going to see that start showing up. Back that chart out a little bit. So yeah, the hype kind of took it up overnight to 13.5, so it's settling in. But that's going to follow, in my opinion, a similar path to Diamond Eagle, which was the DraftKings experience. So expect to see some of that show up today. And let's check Luckin. Got close to 5. Let's see if it got to 5 at 493, up 13% on the day. I'll take it. That's a good looking chart, considering it was at 240, 3 days ago? Like it. All right, that's all I have for you guys. We will catch up with you tomorrow morning. Talk to you then.